She didn't even bother to call. Just a brief text, 7 words, that left me in silence for 3 days. We're celebrating at his parents' this year. You understand, right? I read it while brushing egg wash over a pie crust, my hands sticky with flour, feeling my heart start to break. I didn't reply immediately. What could I say? Sure, darling. No worries at all. I knew how to play the agreeable mother. I'd been perfecting that act for years. It was Christmas morning now. The dining room was set for 6, complete with the good tablecloth, folded linen napkins, and wine glasses polished to a shine. The aroma of roasted turkey filled the house, its skin a perfect golden brown. Cinnamon lingered from the snickerdoodles cooling on the counter. My record player hummed softly, Bing Crosby as always, but no one was there to listen. Just me, in a dress I hadn't worn in ages, hair set the night before, lipstick freshly applied, standing in an empty living room. I sat by the window for a while, the one facing the street, hoping for a car to pull up, maybe by accident, but none did. Snow had begun to fall quietly since dawn. Wilmington was always guaranteed a white Christmas. At least that was something I could count on. Eventually, I stood up, poured myself a small glass of wine, and opened my daughter's Instagram stories. I shouldn't have, but of course I did. By the way, dear viewer, if you're enjoying this video, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. There she was, my one and only daughter, Laura, bursting with laughter next to someone else's tree, a massive artificial fir adorned with matching decorations. Her husband, Greg, was in his usual collared shirt, handing out gifts like he was posing for a magazine called Suburban Bliss. Meanwhile, their 2 boys went wild, ripping through the wrapping paper, shrieking with delight over drones and gaming headsets. The caption under their photo read, "So grateful for family time." My hands turned icy. I wasn't exactly angry, not yet, more like discarded, like the wrapping paper after presents are unwrapped, crumpled and forgotten. She hadn't even bothered to tell the boys. I could tell from their carefree expressions. They had no idea their grandmother had spent 3 whole days in the kitchen, staying up past midnight to baste a turkey she could hardly lift, or that she'd scoured 3 different stores to find that specific chocolate Laura loved when she was little. She must have told them something vague. Probably that Grandma was too tired, or that she'd said, next year. Grandma understands. And I did. Oh, I understood better than they realized. I switched off the phone and stared at the cold turkey, proudly sitting on the sideboard. 3 days of preparation, and for what? Not a bite would be taken. The message had arrived just before midnight, and I'd been staring at it until I barely slept. The words echoed in my mind, seeping into every corner of the house. What's your take on this? Share your reaction in the comments below. You get what I'm saying, right? As I folded up the leftover table settings, I replayed it all in my mind. I left the plates out longer than necessary, a small part of me hoping someone might still show up, but of course, nobody did. The cranberry sauce had crusted at the edges, and the butter on the little glass dish had melted. I tossed the dishes into the trash one by one. That turkey could last me until March if I decided to keep it, but I didn't see the point. Why keep up the charade, even for myself? In the hall closet, I discovered the dress I'd set aside for Christmas Eve, a deep green velvet number with a brooch on the shoulder. I hadn't worn it in over a decade, maybe more. It was the kind of dress that whispered, I made an effort. I still matter. I slipped it on anyway, even though there was nobody to notice. Then I sat at the vanity to refresh the makeup I'd applied the night before. I really looked at myself in the mirror. The lipstick was still intact, but it didn't quite fit the mouth beneath it. My face, lined and cautious, seemed unfamiliar. When had my cheeks started to sag like that? When had my hair turned so white at the temples? I used to think aging happened slowly, like the seasons changing. But now I understood. It hits you all at once. One moment, you're a mom setting up Christmas for your little girl, and the next, you're an overlooked old woman in a quiet house. Yet, I smoothed my hair with my fingers and kept the dress on. I wouldn't let them take that from me, too. By the way, dear viewer, if you're enjoying this video, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. It was around midday when I brewed some tea and sat down at the kitchen table. The mug I used said, "Best Mom Ever," a tacky little gift from a long past Mother's Day. I almost chuckled at the irony. As I took slow sips, I watched the snow pile up outside. The neighborhood was eerily silent. No kids playing, no cars on the move, just the gentle, steady hum of the wind against the windows. There was a time when Laura would plead with me to keep the Christmas lights up until February. "They make everything happier," she'd insist, pulling at my coat. That was back when she still saw this house as her home, back when she was still mine. The sound of the mailbox shutting snapped me out of my thoughts, and I welcomed the distraction. Inside, there was just one envelope, plain white, no return address. It held a generic card with shiny gold lettering, wishing me joy this season. Beneath that, in my daughter's familiar handwriting, were 3 simple words. "Sorry, things changed." I flipped the card over. Nothing more. Things changed. Yes, that much was true. I placed the card on the mantelpiece, among others from neighbors, the pharmacy, and the local community center. Hollow sentiments, perhaps, but they were at least something. Laura's card seemed the smallest, the most insignificant, like it had attempted and failed to be an apology. I thought about giving her a call, just to gently ask why she hadn't been honest sooner, why she let me make preparations, why she didn't even say sorry in person. I didn't pick up the phone because deep down I already had my answer. She hadn't thought it was important. As the hours ticked by, I avoided the TV. The thought of fake laughter and those jingles featuring perfect families in matching pajamas was just too much. So I busied myself by cleaning the kitchen. Not that it needed it. I'd already scrubbed it clean twice. It was more about keeping my hands steady. By evening, I'd slipped out of the green velvet dress and carefully placed it back into its tissue paper cocoon where it had been for years. I changed into my comfy house robe, the one with the fraying sleeve. The silence in the house grew thicker. It wasn't just quiet. It was an emptiness. No voices, no footsteps, no curious grandkids asking about ornaments or dinner time. Just me, my own breaths and my own thoughts, my own doing. I settled into the living room, letting the stillness envelop me. For a brief moment, I imagined them arriving. Laura, her laugh a little too high-pitched as she tried to cover her nerves. The kids bursting through the door, backpacks still on. Greg, faking politeness while sneaking glances at his phone under the table. But that fantasy slipped away quickly. They weren't coming. I felt it deep in my bones. When I finally opened my eyes, It was triggered by an unexpected sound, a notification ping on my phone. My heart skipped a beat. We'd love to hear from you. Let us know in the comments what city you're watching from. For a fleeting moment, I entertained the crazy idea that Laura might have sent a heartfelt message, perhaps even an apology. But no, it turned out to be her story update. My finger lingered over the screen. I could scroll on by, ignore it entirely, but who was I kidding? I tapped it. It was a video. The kids were unwrapping yet another mountain of gifts in what seemed like a lively, cozy living room. Laura had captioned it, "Nothing better than being surrounded by love. Merry Christmas from our family to yours." Our family. I wasn't in that picture anymore, was I? And then came the next clip. Greg's mom was pulling a dish out of the oven, laughing. Mom's famous lasagna, a Christmas staple, Laura's voice narrated. My lasagna had been the Christmas tradition for 29 years. I started making it the year after her father passed, when she was 12, and wanted something different for Christmas Eve. I spent an entire afternoon crafting a recipe that would feel special and comfort her. She always said I made it better than any restaurant. I watched the video twice, not because I wanted to wallow in the hurt, but to convince myself it was real, that she had said those words, filmed it, and shared it with the world. Carefully, I placed the phone down like it was something delicate. That's when it hit me. I hadn't cried. Not once. Not yet. And still, no tears came. Instead, I got up and headed to the hallway cabinet. The top drawer was stubborn, as usual. It always was. By the way, dear viewer, if you're enjoying this video, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I pried it open, revealing the old metal file box where I stored all the important documents, bank statements, faded receipts, and copies of checks I'd written over the years. Among them was a folder marked Laura in bold blue marker. I pulled it out and spread its contents on the table. There were checks for the down payment on their house, tuition for the boys' first year at private school, and even a loan for Greg's business, $8,000 with a hopeful little note saying, "Just until things stabilize. Thank you, Mom." That money was never returned, and honestly, I stopped expecting it back ages ago. But it wasn't just about the money. It was about how I had gradually faded into the background of their lives, always around, always helpful, but always silent, the reliable one, the safe bet, the one that could always wait. That's the real cost of being too kind for too long. You end up blending in like part of the furniture. As I sat there, surrounded by these fragments of my past generosity, I asked myself something I had never dared to consider before. Would they even notice if I stopped helping? If I stopped being readily available, would they miss me? Or just the convenience I provided? And for the first time in many years, I found myself curious to find out. I hadn't opened the photo albums in years. They just sat there on the bottom shelf of the living room cabinet, collecting dust. Heavy books with padded covers and gold embossed edges, with little paper slips poking out where I had tucked away extra snapshots that never made it onto the pages. By the way, dear viewer, if you're enjoying this video, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I picked up the largest album and settled down on the couch, cradling it like a delicate treasure. The first picture I saw captured Laura's second Christmas. She stood in the living room wearing a red knitted sweater, missing a couple of buttons. Her dad took that photo, and I remember it well because money was tight that year. I baked cookies from leftover flour and butter, wrapped them in brown paper with string. Laura gobbled up 5 and said it was the best Christmas ever. As I turned each page, I watched her grow. There she was at 10, beaming in front of a snowman. At 15, looking grumpy, in a coat that was too small, arms folded but present. By 18, her senior picture was taped in because she didn't want it framed. Then came her wedding, the babies, and gradually fewer pictures of her. The album had more gaps as the pages went on. I reached one of the final entries, Christmas 5 years ago. That was the last time they all gathered. Laura brought a store-bought salad, and Greg kept glancing at his watch. The boys tore through their presents so quickly, hardly noticing them. One even asked if they could leave early to visit Grandma Elaine, Greg's mom. That hurt, but I hid it with a smile. I always did. I closed the album softly and set it aside. The weight in my chest wasn't sadness anymore. It was something more constant, like a revelation. I was starting to understand the pattern. By the way, dear viewer, if you're enjoying this video, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Not just about Christmas, but about all the years leading up to this moment. Slowly, I'd been sidelined, pushed from the spotlight to the fringes. It wasn't something that just happened overnight. This year was simply when it became glaringly clear. The doorbell chimed unexpectedly, and I nearly jumped out of my skin. No one ever came by on holidays anymore. Not since, well, you know. My initial thought was that it was a mistake, a package meant for a neighbor. But then, there it was, a gentle tapping on the window. 3 delicate knocks. I got up and opened the door to find Emily, my granddaughter, standing there, 16, with legs that seemed to go on forever, and eyes as soft as her heart, bundled up in a coat far too big for her. Her cheeks were rosy from the cold. "Hi, Grandma," she said, giving a little wave. "I brought you some pie." She gestured vaguely, and I knew she meant from her other grandmother's place, the heart of the real Christmas gathering. I blinked, a little stunned. "You came all this way?" I asked. She gave a small shrug. "I told Mom I wasn't feeling great. I wanted to come see you." Her eyes met mine, searching for approval. I stepped aside, opening the door wider for her. Once inside, her gaze swept the room, noticing the table set for 6, the untouched food on the sideboard, the dim lighting. She swallowed hard. "I didn't know they weren't coming," she murmured. "They said it would just be easier, less stressful for you." I let out a dry, humorless chuckle. "Less stressful," I repeated. "I'm sorry," she said, looking genuinely upset. "I think Mom didn't want to upset you, or maybe she didn't want to deal with what you'd say if she told you." I nodded, understanding all too well. After all, a message you never hear is easy to ignore. Emily gazed at the pie she held. "It's pumpkin," she said. "I know it's not your favorite, but I thought some company might be nice." I placed the pie on the counter and reached for the kettle. "Let's have tea," I suggested. She assisted me in pouring it, and we settled at the table, just the two of us. I didn't bother asking about the others. I already knew. She shared stories from school, her friend Olivia's new puppy, and a book she was diving into for English class. Her words were gentle and soothing, like a salve on an unnoticed wound. At one point, She glanced around the room. "You did all this?" she asked. "Every year," I replied. "For them?" she inquired. "For me," I admitted after a moment of thought. "At least that's what I used to tell myself." Emily nodded thoughtfully. "You deserve better," she observed. I studied her, only 16, yet wise beyond her years. That night, as I sat alone once more, everything felt different. Not necessarily better or easier, but changed. Because now someone had seen it, had seen me. And sometimes that's all it takes to spark a shift. Later, as I stored the pie in the fridge with a little label so I wouldn't forget it was hers, I realized she hadn't told Emily. The house was silent again, but not as empty. Her visit had left behind a trace of warmth, a reminder, though it also made the ache more acute. By the way, dear viewer, if you're enjoying this video, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Laura hadn't given Emily any heads up, not even a whisper of what was coming. Emily thought she was in for another cozy Christmas together, just like every year. I could see it all over her face when she stepped inside. The table beautifully set, the roast untouched, gifts waiting under the tree. She felt embarrassed, not for herself, but for me. I sank back into my chair at the kitchen table, phone in hand, scrolling through messages once more. Nothing from Laura since last night, except for one lingering line. "We're celebrating at his parents' this year. You understand, right?" I did understand, and that was the crux of it all. Setting the phone aside, I reached for the manila envelope I'd pulled out earlier. Inside were bank statements, quarterly reports, records of all the support I'd quietly given over the years. It was a testament to silent generosity. Laura's college tuition, her first apartment, the down payment for their current place, the orthodontist bills for the kids, the bridge loan when Greg lost his job and they needed to keep up with the mortgage, and of course, the Christmas gifts, not just toys and clothes, but checks tucked into cards with a gentle "just in case." I never did it for show. That wasn't me. But maybe, just maybe, it should have been. I picked up a pen and a notebook and began jotting down figures. I wasn't trying to keep score or ask for anything in return. That wasn't the goal. I just needed to see it all laid out and grasp what exactly I had given. By the way, dear viewer, if you're enjoying this video, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. As I reached the end of the page, the numbers staring back at me made me stop in my tracks. Over the past 2 decades, I had sent them money in various forms: gifts, covering bills, dealing with emergencies, and even a few loans that were never paid back. The total, just over $138,000. I put down my pen. It wasn't about the money. If you'd asked me just yesterday, I would have said I'd willingly do it all again for them. But tonight felt different. I realized I couldn't count on them to do the same for me. I wasn't even worth a straightforward conversation over dinner. So I sat there for a while, not moving. Then I picked up the phone and dialed my bank. After a few rings, a polite voice answered the after-hours line. "Good evening, West Garden Savings and Loans. This is Dana speaking. How may I assist you?" "Hello, Dana. This is Marlene Stanley. I'm calling to discuss stopping some automatic transfers from my account." "Of course, Mrs. Stanley. Could I confirm a few details first?" She went through the usual security questions: birth date, address, and the last 4 digits of my checking account. I answered each one, my voice calm and steady. Once everything was confirmed, she asked, "Now, which transfers would you like to modify?" "All of them," I replied. "Every single standing order to my daughter Laura and to Greg. Mortgage payments, school fees, the car insurance premium, everything." Dana paused for a moment. "That's quite a list, ma'am." "Are you sure you want to stop all of them?" "I'm not just stopping them," I said. "I'm ending them for good." Another pause followed. "Understood. By the way, dear viewer, if you're enjoying this video, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I'll put a hold on it right away. To fully cancel, though, you'll need to sign off at your local branch. We open at 9 a.m. tomorrow. I'll be there," I assured her. She confirmed the update and wished me a pleasant evening. I hung up and sat back in the silence. This wasn't about getting even. It wasn't about being bitter or feeling victorious. What I felt, finally, was clarity. For so long, I'd convinced myself I was doing what mothers do, giving, helping, making things easier. And sure, maybe that's part of love. But when love lacks respect, it turns into mere duty. And duty isn't family. They'd taken everything I gave, except me. That was about to change. The next morning, I woke up before dawn. Outside, the light was a dim gray, like those winter mornings that never quite brighten. I moved slowly, not out of weakness, but with purpose. Each step, each action was intentional, like I was finally making a decision that had lingered too long. I made my tea calmly, without the distraction of radio or TV, just the gentle clink of the spoon against the cup and the soft hum of the fridge. By 8:30, I was ready, wearing the same dark blue wool coat with silver buttons from Laura's college graduation, a cherished gift from my late sister. It still fit, and it still made me feel like a woman who knew her own mind. When I arrived at the bank, it was peaceful. The carpet still showed the vacuum cleaner's tracks, and the windows had a slight fog at the edges from the chilly air outside. By the way, dear viewer, if you're enjoying this video, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. The woman at the counter greeted me with a well-rehearsed smile. "Good morning. How can I assist you today?" I replied, "I need to finalize the cancellation of all automatic transfers to the Sheehan household." I made sure to speak clearly. "My name is Marlene Stanley. Dana, from the night service, already put a hold on them yesterday." Her smile wavered slightly as she said, "Of course, let me call someone from accounts." I waited in a small office, surrounded by outdated magazines and a thirsty-looking plant. A man in a gray suit soon arrived, carrying a folder. "Mrs. Stanley, I'm Robert. Let's go over everything." He spread out the papers, all neatly highlighted. There were more documents than I anticipated. Mortgage supplements, utility reimbursements, and a recurring education fund transfer marked for the Sheehan boys' tuition. I stated, "I'd like to cancel that one as well." He glanced up and nodded. "All of them?" he asked. "Yes, all of them," I confirmed. He handed me the papers, and I signed without a second thought. When I returned the pen, he paused. "Would you like to name a new beneficiary for any of these accounts? Many clients often choose to support a grandchild or Ensoricals." "Yes," I interrupted. "My granddaughter, Emily Sheehan. Please open a new savings account for her, under my supervision for now. I'd like to redirect the tuition support there." He simply nodded and jotted down my instructions in the margin. We wrapped up the meeting in less than 20 minutes. By the way, dear viewer, If you're enjoying this video, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Stepping back into the chilly air, I felt something unusual stir inside me. Not quite a sense of levity, but something like it. It was as if I had finally emerged from a shadow I hadn't even realized was looming over me. The world around me was unchanged, but I wasn't, and that was what mattered. Upon reaching home, I noticed the answering machine flashing. I hit play. 3 messages awaited. The first was from Laura. "Mom, hey, just checking in. I noticed the tuition payment didn't go through this morning. Must be a bank hiccup. Anyway, give me a ring. Love you." The next message was more clipped, her tone tense. "Hi again. Just wondering why we didn't hear back about the Christmas card. The boys asked if you got it. Hope all's good." The third came just an hour later, and it was Greg's voice this time. "Hi, Marlene. It's Greg. Sorry to bother you, but Laura's pretty upset. She mentioned some bank issues, and now Emily's saying strange things. Can we have a chat? Maybe there's a mix-up." I didn't call them back. Instead, I made a list, not of complaints, but of boundaries, lines that should have been drawn a long time ago. I sat quietly with it, examining each one. Then I reached for the phone, not to call Laura, but to contact my lawyer. Francis welcomed me at his office door with the same silent nod he'd given years back when I walked in after Henry passed away. He never asked unnecessary questions, which was precisely why I'd stayed with him all these years. By the way, dear viewer, if you're enjoying this video, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. He always listened first, never showing a hint of surprise. "I need to update my will," I remarked as I slipped off my gloves and tucked them into my bag. He nodded towards the chair across from his desk. "Absolutely. Keeping the same distribution, or are we reconsidering everything?" "We're revisiting everything," I replied. Without a blink, he pulled out a notepad and clicked his pen, ready to take notes. I explained it all plainly. The house would remain under my name until I passed, with strict instructions against any sale or pressure to sell. All my financial assets would be put into a trust, with Emily as the main beneficiary, and I'd manage it as the trustee while alive. Laura and Greg would no longer have any discretionary access, no more automatic assumptions or default heirs. I paused and added, "I'm not doing this to punish anyone. I just want to safeguard what's mine and give to someone who hasn't treated me like a cash machine." Francis nodded thoughtfully. "No need to explain yourself to me, Marlene. I see this more often than I'd like." I let his words linger. "Ever feel like you're fading away, even though you're still here?" I asked softly. He peered at me over his glasses. "Every Tuesday, when my grown son calls, only because his car insurance is due." I gave a wry smile. He understood. As he started drafting the documents, reading each part aloud, I felt a calmness take hold, especially when we reached the section about Emily's trust. The anger was gone, replaced by a sense of peace. By the way, dear viewer, if you're enjoying this video, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I was reclaiming my identity and my self-worth. "I'll have the final papers ready by Friday," he assured me as he got up to escort me out. "We'll need a witness when you sign. I'll handle it." "Thanks, Francis," I replied. He gently touched my arm and said, "You're making the right decision." Despite the chill in the air, I chose to walk home. The fresh air was just what I needed to clear my mind. As I strolled by the coffee shop Laura adored as a teenager, memories flooded back. We used to huddle in the corner booth where she'd share her dreams for the future. I wondered if she ever thought back to those days and missed them. When I arrived home, the mail awaited me in the box. There was a bank statement, a couple of catalogs, and a hastily addressed envelope with my name scrawled across it. It was from Emily. Inside, I found a letter on plain notebook paper. No card, no frills, just her heartfelt words. Dear Grandma, I don't know all the details, but I have a sense of what's happening. Mom and Dad have been acting strange and arguing. They say you're overreacting and being dramatic, but I know you better than that. You always have a reason for what you do. I saw the table, the food, and how you looked when you opened the door. I'll never forget it. No matter what happens, I love you, and I'm on your side. Love, Emily. I carefully refolded the letter, smoothing the creases, and placed it on the mantel beside the oldest photo of baby Laura. For the first time in days, I allowed myself to cry, not from sorrow, but from the relief of being understood. By the way, dear viewer, if you're enjoying this video, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. By the next morning, the messages took on a whole new vibe. The first voicemail was from Laura again. Her voice sounded a bit frail, more controlled. Mom, I'm sorry if we upset you. I didn't want things to turn out like this. The holidays are just so hectic, and Greg's parents had already planned something, so I thought it might be simpler. I should have talked to you. Please call me. The next message was brief. Mom, Greg's mentioned that the mortgage payment bounced again. Can you check with the bank? There might be a mistake. We're getting late notices. Then a text popped up. We need to talk. This is serious now. I stared at the phone for a moment before flipping it face down on the table. The silence that followed felt different, not so much empty as it was peaceful. I spent the afternoon tidying up old files, rearranging folders. I swapped out Greg's name for Emily's on the power of attorney, effective only after I'm gone. I updated the contact info on all the insurance accounts. I even unsubscribed from newsletters Laura had signed me up for ages ago, mostly shopping and meal delivery services I never used. It was like wiping a slate clean. When the doorbell rang around 4 p.m., I knew exactly who it was before opening the door. There stood Laura, coat open, her breath visible in the chilly air. She wasn't wearing her usual lipstick, and her hair was pinned up hastily. Mom, Chaika Forky, said Danom Forsai, and Foreign Sekium, Stek Point Free. Sagrosai, chopping forward Gorkai, Kikain Torium, stayed put in the doorway. By the way, dear viewer, if you're enjoying this video, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. She paused, then flashed a smile, tight and unfamiliar. Mind if I come in? I nudged the door open a bit more, slowly. She stepped inside, taking in the house as if it were all new to her. Her gaze lingered on the table, now clear and tidy. No plates, no holiday cheer. No Christmas decorations, she asked. I took them down, I replied. Oh, she said, settling gingerly on the edge of the couch, clutching her purse like a shield. I stayed on my feet. I got your message, she started, though I hadn't sent one. About the payments, the accounts, the changes. I gave a brief nod. They were overdue. She blinked, attempting a laugh. Mom, come on. This is A lot. Yes, I agreed. It is. She looked up, searching my face. Why now? Slowly, I sat down across from her, not from fatigue, but to meet her gaze. Because I spent years giving without asking, without needing gratitude. I thought love was about making things easier for you. It did, she quickly responded. It meant a lot. No, I gently interrupted. It didn't. It became expected, convenient. You didn't ask me to cook this year because you didn't want to say the truth, that I wasn't invited. Her cheeks reddened. It wasn't like that. It was exactly like that, I said calmly. Silence followed. I saw your stories, Laura. The tree, the food, the lasagna at your other mom's. Her eyes dropped to the floor. I don't need you to choose me, I said. But I won't keep giving away pieces of myself just to feel included. She didn't reply, just sat there, very still. By the way, dear viewer, if you're enjoying this video, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I'm not mad, I went on, but I'm done with the charade. You can't treat me like a backup plan and then freak out when the checks stop coming. Her shoulders slumped, and for a second, she reminded me of the little girl who would nestle in my lap during thunderstorms. I didn't know you felt like this, she murmured. You never asked, I replied, as she stared at her hands. We can work it out, she whispered. Figure out how to make changes. I shook my head. You're not here for that. You're here because the money dried up. She winced but didn't argue. I'm not cutting you off, I told her, but I am closing the account. Her eyes glistened, but for once I didn't offer her a tissue. She lingered for another 20 minutes, trying every angle, gentle, rational, hurt, but none of it stuck. No more. Why now? She asked, her voice cracking as she stood by the door. It feels so harsh. I met her gaze. Laura, I've spent years tiptoeing around your feelings. Maybe that's why we're here now. She started to speak, then stopped. Outside, the wind was picking up, rattling trash can lids down the street. At that moment, Laura seemed older to me. Not because of her looks, but because I finally saw her without the veil of duty. Just a woman who had gotten too comfortable standing on my shoulders. I'll let the boys know you aren't upset with them, she said after a moment, casually flicking away imaginary lint from her coat. I'm not, I replied, and hopefully one day you'll see this isn't a punishment. It's a course correction. She left quietly. No door slamming, no tears, just an odd sense of unfinished silence hanging in the air. I stood by the window, watching her drive away, then headed to the kitchen for a glass of water. The quiet settled in again, like an old friend. Soft, familiar, and solely mine. That evening, I reached out to Emily. She picked up on the second ring. Grandma, hi, sweetheart. I just wanted to hear your voice. Are you okay? She asked, instantly alert. I'm fine. I had a visitor today. There was a pause. Mom? Yes, we talked. I think she's starting to realize things are different now. Emily stayed silent, but I could hear her breathing. I'm putting some new things in motion. I continued. You'll see the document soon. Trust papers, legal updates. I want you to have protections, not just financially. Her voice was soft. Why me? Because you were the only one who looked me in the eye that day. The only one who came. Another pause, her voice trembling. I'm really glad I did. So am I. We chatted a bit more about school and the new semester coming up. When we hung up, I felt more grounded, not victorious, but steady. Later that night, I went through the kitchen drawers and cleared out what I didn't need. By the way, dear viewer, if you're enjoying this video, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Old rubber bands, manuals from appliances long gone, and takeout menus no one ever used. Clearing them out felt like I was making room for something genuine. The following morning, Greg tried to reach me. His call went straight to voicemail, and then came a text. "Can we talk?" Laura mentioned things got heated. "We really need to sort this out. Oh, and what about Emily's tuition? She's really worried." I didn't reply directly. Instead, I drafted a simple response. "Emily's covered. You are not." No need for a signature. I let the silence do the talking. By week's end, the change had quietly circulated. I hadn't made any announcements, only confided in my lawyer and the bank. Yet, as is often the case in families where unspoken rules reign, the message spread on its own. The phone rang less, delivering its own silent statement. Friday morning, I bundled up and took a leisurely walk to the bakery down the street, a place I hadn't visited in a while. The girl behind the counter didn't know me, but the aroma did. The scent of yeast, cinnamon, and fresh bread was as familiar as breathing. I bought a small loaf and 2 rolls, wrapped them up, and strolled back, letting the brisk air tingle my cheeks. At home, there was an envelope on my doorstep. No name, no return address, just a simple handwritten note inside. "You've made your point, we get it." That was all. Unsigned, unexplained, and casually tucked inside. We'd love to hear from you. Let us know in the comments what city you're watching from. I tossed it in the trash without a second thought because honestly, they hadn't figured it out yet. Understanding meant realizing I wasn't just there to dispense cash with a friendly, motherly grin. It meant not seeing my decisions as just another outburst. That afternoon, Emily showed up out of the blue, a knitted scarf snug around her neck, carrying a grocery bag with a couple of oranges and a jar of jam. "I switched shifts with a coworker," she said, a bit shyly. "Thought I'd come by to help you pack up the holiday stuff." We started with the wreath, then moved on to the old ornaments. She asked about each one, curious about their origins and how long they'd been around. It was like we were rebuilding something new, story by story, piece by piece. When we reached the box labeled fragile, she paused. "Did you really cancel everything for them?" she asked. I met her gaze. "Yes," Emily bit her lip. "They're upset." "I'm sure," I replied. She hesitated. "Dad said you've changed." I gave a gentle smile. "I've just remembered who I am." She didn't push any further. Instead, she picked up a tiny porcelain angel and asked about its story. We spent an hour like that, just the two of us, not mentioning anyone else. When she left, I stood at the door longer than usual, watching her walk away, her scarf fluttering behind her like a ribbon. She didn't glance back, not because she didn't care, but because she didn't need to. She knew I was there, loving her unconditionally, but now with clear boundaries, and that changed everything. Saturday morning had its own unique calm. It wasn't the isolating kind, but rather a purposeful peace, as if the house finally let out a long-held breath. I spent the morning jotting down letters, not grand proclamations, just simple notes to myself. One was titled, "Things I Won't Do Anymore." I listed them thoughtfully. I won't apologize for saying no. I won't minimize how much something affected me just to keep the peace. I won't equate love with money. I won't mistake usefulness for self-worth. Once I finished, a sense of lightness washed over me. Around midday, the phone rang from an unknown number. I let it go to voicemail. Soon, a message came through. Mrs. Stanley, this is Linda Carter from Southridge Academy's finance office. I wanted to confirm that we received the updated payment instructions for Emily's tuition. The trust account you set up has been processed, and the upcoming semester is fully covered. Thank you for the clarity. It really helped us move quickly. I sat still for a moment, then allowed myself a small smile. That was true generosity. Quiet, straightforward, without any strings attached. It wasn't done out of obligation or fear of exclusion, but simply because I chose to. At 2 p.m., I spotted an email with the subject line, "Please read." It was from Laura. I didn't open it right away. Instead, I made tea, grabbed a slice of bread, and waited for the kettle to whistle before picking it up. By the way, dear viewer, if you're enjoying this video, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. It only clicked for me when I finally sat down at the table. Mom, I've tried to say what I need to, but it's tough. I've rewritten this message 5 times, and nothing feels right. I know I didn't handle Christmas well. I kept quiet because I wanted to avoid feeling guilty and having a long conversation. That wasn't brave. I assumed you'd be fine because you always are. That's part of the issue, isn't it? You're always okay, and I've leaned on that too much. I never wanted to make you feel small or unseen, but I did, and now I get it. We're all trying to wrap our heads around everything, the finances, the trust, the changes. It seems so sudden, even if it really isn't. You've always been so giving, maybe too much, and I think we got used to it. It faded into the background. But I miss you. I miss the you who made holidays feel like a sanctuary. I miss how your kitchen smelled. I miss how you always sensed when something was off. I don't want to lose you, not like this. If you're willing, I'd love to come over next week, not to talk about money, just to talk. Love, Laura. I read it twice. It wasn't flawless, and it wasn't a grand revelation, but it was a start. I didn't reply right away. I decided to give her some time to think, just as I had needed. This time, I wouldn't rush to make things easy for her. She needed to earn this visit. Sunday rolled around, the sky a soft gray, with the wind gently tapping at the windows, like a little child asking to come in. By the way, dear viewer, if you're enjoying this video, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. This morning, I found myself dusting off shelves that rarely catch anyone's eye and rearranging books I've read more times than I can remember. It's the kind of task that lets your mind wander, which was just what I needed. Beneath all the letters, accounts, and the quiet, there is this persistent feeling, not quite regret or sadness, just the realization of having been in the spotlight once and now watching from the sidelines. I was in the middle of folding laundry when the doorbell interrupted. Not a guest, but a delivery. A young man stood there with a large box, carefully sealed and tagged perishable. He handed me a receipt with a smile. "It's a meal kit," he said. "All set, just needs heating." I blinked at it. Who sent this? He glanced at the receipt. "Greg Sheehan with love," he replied. I didn't pause to chat, just nodded and took the box inside. I set it on the table, chicken parmesan, garlic bread, a bottle of mid-range red wine, and a note in Greg's handwriting. We know things have been tense. Maybe dinner can be a bridge. Everything was neatly packaged, ready to go. I stood there, considering it all for a minute, then quietly slid the whole box onto the fridge's bottom shelf, leaving it untouched. It could wait. Later that day, another message popped up from Laura. No stress about meeting Mom, she assured me, just letting me know they're thinking of me. The boys even drew some pictures to send over. I didn't text back. By the way, dear viewer, if you're enjoying this video, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I wasn't punishing her. I just needed some breathing room. For years, I was the one always rushing to calm things down, to explain, to fix every tiny issue in the family. But those days are over. Now, it's their turn to feel the weight of unspoken words. That evening, I went to my stationery drawer and pulled out a soft blue envelope. I penned just 2 lines. Emily, darling, your tuition is covered, and so are you. You'll never wonder about your place with me. I slipped it into the mail slot, imagining her reading it and feeling secure, knowing she's my top priority, not caught in a tug of war. The house remained quiet, but I wasn't waiting for noise to fill it anymore. I was creating something new in that silence. Monday morning greeted me with a stark blue sky and a sun that played at providing warmth. I stepped outside briefly to grab the mail, bundled in my coat and scarf, the cold nipping at my cheeks. In the mailbox, alongside catalogs and an unnecessary credit card offer, was an envelope from Francis's office. I took it to the kitchen table, brewed some tea, and opened it with deliberate care. The documents inside were the fresh-out-of-the-oven will, the trust paperwork for Emily, and letters revoking old financial permissions. Each sheet was sharp, essential. I signed each one, hand steady, without a flicker of doubt. Once finished, I called Francis. Everything checks out, I said. I'll drop off the original documents later today. He gently cleared his throat. Marlene, you've managed this with exceptional clarity. I replied, I'm done with whispers and clarity. Now it's all in writing. After lunch, I casually delivered the documents to his office. The receptionist, always friendly but slightly jittery, offered me a cookie from her tin. I accepted, oatmeal raisin, just the right amount of sweetness. When I got home, I found a package on the porch. Emily's handwriting graced the label. Inside was a knitted scarf, a couple of holiday photos of us, and a little card. Thought you might like something cozy for the chilly days. I miss you already. Love, M. I held the scarf to my face, breathing in the lavender scent, a hint of her presence. That night, I tucked the signed papers into the fireproof box under my bed. It wasn't a threat, just a safeguard. My words were now secure on paper. The next morning, an email from Laura popped up. No apologies this time, and no warmth either. Mom, Francis has updated us about the will and trust. I don't know what to say. I guess this is it. Just make sure this doesn't pull the family apart more than it already has. The boys still need to see you as their grandmother, not someone who walked away from us. L. I read it over 3 times, closed my laptop, and whispered to the silence. I didn't walk away. I just stopped bowing. This time, she didn't bother knocking. The car rolled up softly around midday. Same silver SUV they bought last year after Greg's bonus, which I co-signed for. Watching from the window, I saw Laura step out alone. She gave a quick glance towards the house, uncertain if she should come in or flee. I swung the door open before she reached it. "Hi," she greeted. "Come on in," I replied, stepping aside. No hugs were exchanged. She entered like someone revisiting an old haunt, hesitating in the hallway to look at the familiar photos. Wedding memories, baby smiles, school years. I hadn't taken them down. I didn't need to erase her to move on. I just had to stop pretending I didn't exist beyond her. "I didn't bring the boys," she mentioned. "Figured it'd be easier this way." I nodded. Probably was. We settled in the living room, her coat still on. Silence stretched out until she finally said, "I've been trying to find the right words, but they always seem wrong." I kept quiet. She wrung her hands, releasing them again. "I didn't think skipping one Christmas was a big deal. We've been so busy. Greg's parents wanted to host this time, and I thought it might actually be a relief for you." "Relief?" I questioned. "From all the cooking, cleaning, hosting. I thought I was doing you a favor." I studied her expression. "Then why didn't you just say that?" She dropped her gaze. "Because I knew it wasn't true." Not really. By the way, dear viewer, if you're enjoying this video, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We sat there in silence for a moment, soaking it all in. Then I broke the quiet, asking, "Why didn't you tell the boys?" She lowered her voice, almost a whisper. "I didn't want them to see you as the bad guy." That stung. "I get it," I said, noticing her wince. "I'm not here to argue," she gently replied. "Actually, I think you're right." That caught me by surprise. She continued, "You've been so helpful, and I've just taken it for granted. Greg and I both did. We assumed it was just there, forgetting that it came from you." I stayed silent as she went on, her voice now trembling. "We're scared. The mortgage, school fees. We've never been great at planning. We always believed we had more time." "Time doesn't refill like a bank account," I pointed out. She nodded in agreement. "I felt the gap between us before, but never thought it would close in like this." I looked at her, not as my little girl from years ago, but as the woman in front of me now, facing fears head on. "I didn't change the will to punish you," I said. "I did it because I finally understood what love should cost and what it shouldn't." Tears welled up in her eyes, and she let them fall. "I don't know how to fix this," she whispered. "You don't," I responded softly. "You accept that things are different now, and then you show up, not with presents or calls when you need something. You show up as a daughter, not a dependent." She nodded slowly. "I can try," she said. "Trying isn't about being taken back," I explained. "It's about asking to be let in again." By the way, dear viewer, if you're enjoying this video, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. She really paid attention, truly listened for the first time in a long while, and I let the quiet fill in the rest. January rolled in with its typical gray skies, but this year it felt more like a fresh start than an ending. The house was calm, not filled with echoes of disappointment anymore. Just peace, just warmth, just me. I saw Emily twice that week, and she brought over a puzzle, just like old times when she was little. It was a 1,000-piece challenge that kept us busy for 3 evenings. On the final night, we stayed up past midnight, laughing over missing pieces and sipping lukewarm tea. We didn't talk about her parents, and I chose not to ask. A few days later, a postcard from Laura arrived, sent from their mountain getaway. No explanations or complaints, just a snowy photo and 3 simple words, thinking of you. That was all I needed. I didn't require a complete rewrite of history, just room to pen my own conclusion. The lawyer assured me everything was in order, filed, notarized, and recorded. Emily's trust was set, my decision secure, free from any confusion. Greg never reached out again, and Laura texted now and then, to which I occasionally replied. One evening, sitting with a cup of chamomile tea, lights dimmed, the house cozy, I reflected, neither bitter nor sad, just clear. I had given them enough, more than enough. What remained I would give to myself and those who genuinely saw me. Maybe that's what growing older truly is. Not becoming less, but finding your true size. By the way, dear viewer, if you're enjoying this video, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Remember who you were before you started shrinking to make space for others. If you're tuning in and have ever felt like you've been diminishing yourself just to be loved, needed, or safe, listen closely. You don't owe anyone an explanation. Stop sacrificing your inner peace just to fit in. You don't need to be anyone's silent rock. Let them ponder why the warmth is gone. Let them feel the chill they left behind. If this resonates with you, if it echoes your own experiences, don't keep it locked away. Share it. Drop a comment. Save it for a rainy day when you need to be reminded. You're not invisible. You never have been. By the way, dear viewer, if you're enjoying this video, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel.